everybody? This is your host, Folk, and welcome back to another episode of the Channel 256 News brought to you by Bitcoin Mining World. The day is September 16th. Bitcoin getting all the way up there to $117,000, just under it here on CoinGecko. However, it did reach over $117,000, just over on a few different exchanges. So we'll go ahead and call it where it's at. Currently, it's 116,800. Things are rocking and rolling in preparations for the FOMC meeting tomorrow. Super excited to see what comes out of it. Hopefully, Jerome Powell comes out on stage and signifies not just one rate cut, which is almost a guarantee that we will be getting that 25 basis point cut tomorrow. Hopefully, he also implies that there's going to be more rate cuts going forward here in December and into 2026. Bitcoin net hash rate taking a pretty steep jump today, all the way up to 1.2 zettahash. Not a new all-time high. However, people are plugging back in. Kind of crazy to see. We're still dealing with a little bit of a heat wave down here in the south, but maybe just the rise in Bitcoin price was getting some of the smaller players back into it. But it kind of does coincide with everything. Looks 6 p.m. there. What are we looking at? Well, it's not even 6 p.m. I don't know what clock they're using over there. However, looking over here on the price per petahash, up to $54.49. Rocking and rolling over there, coinciding with the jump in Bitcoin as well. Looking in traditional finance, a little bit of red today. The Dow Jones down 125 points, S&P down 8 points. NASDAQ down 14, and the Russell down 2. All things considered, not bad. There's always a whole bunch of volatility right before the FOMC meetings, and I'm sure going into tomorrow overnight, and right before Jerome Powell comes out on stage, depending on what he says, we could just see a mess of things. Looking over here at gold, we got a new all-time high today. It just increased signs of the volatility throughout the markets in preparations for tomorrow's FOMC meeting. Kind of cool to see. Hopefully this thing's just about done. I don't know how much more room it could possibly have. However, we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Ideally, we see a massive jump in the price of Bitcoin and large index funds, and a big decrease in gold and the VIX. Over here from Cointelegraph, we got Bitcoin eyes long liquidations as gold passes 3.7K for the first time. That's just back with the gold price, hitting a new all-time high for the first time and closing out, getting ready for the FOMC meeting tomorrow. Over here recently, we've been talking about a whole bunch of mining stocks outperforming Bitcoin as well as just the rest of the index funds. However, Bitcoin mining firm VivoPower is also an XRP treasury. They've been dumping some of their mined coins. They did not specify how much XRP it expects to acquire or which mine tokens will be exchanged. However, what they do mine is Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin. So they're already playing with some shit coins, but now it sounds like they're mining Bitcoin and dumping it for XRP, which is mind-blowing. Looking over here at the stock price in the last 5 days, down 7%. So maybe the shareholders are trying to tell you something after putting out some news like that. I got one more from Cointelegraph, just focusing on the Bitcoin mining stocks outperforming Bitcoin as investors bet on AI pivots. Like we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks, a lot of these big Bitcoin mining players are shifting slightly some of their power over to the AI sector just as another form of profitability. Personally, I think it's a good thing any way that they can offset some of the Bitcoin's volatility and keep them afloat, keeping the Bitcoin blockchain secure. They got more hash rate than any of us, I think, is always a good thing. Over here from Iron, up over the last 5 days, down slightly today. Iron and Hive both down about 1%. But if you're looking over in the last week, I mean, up 19% for Iron, up 29% for Hive, down 2% today. Really just crazy to see. Not too much news out of everything today besides Bitdeer launching the SEALMINER A3, which is pretty cool. The SEALMINER A3 Pro Hydro touts a hash rate of 660 terahash with a power efficiency of 12.5 joules per terahash. Other models on the lineup include an A3 Hydro for 500 terahash or 13.5 joules per terahash. Cool to see. Curious if any of you guys have gotten your hands on any of the SEALMINERs yet. I personally have not. However, really excited to eventually get to have some hands-on experience with them. Anybody that's going out there competing with Bitmain or even SEALMINER at this point, I'm very, very pro and hopeful that they can succeed. We'll go and end off today's episode there. Hopefully tomorrow we've got a pretty crazy day and a lot more news to go over, some more thoughts, and hopefully we're looking at a lot more green than we even saw today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit that little noti bell so you can always be notified when we're uploading new content or going live. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.